Our next speaker is Madison Lewis. Madison is from Dunlap, Illinois. She's hoping to attend ISU after ICC, and her favorite TED Talk was Elizabeth Gilbert's talk, Success, Failure, and the Drive to Keep Creating. So, welcome, Madison.
All right, so it's a little bit more different being up here on the big stage than in my tiny little classroom that I'm kind of used to and already given presentations to before as well. So bear with me as I give you this talk actually on anxiety, which is kind of ironic because every time I get anxious about telling my friends, like, oh my gosh, guys, I have to give a presentation next hour, they're all like, oh yeah, what's it on, Maddie? And I'll be like, oh, it's on anxiety. And then they just kind of laugh at me like, how's that going for you? Is it going okay? Like, are you a little anxious about that? So with that being said, what's the first thing that pops into your head when you hear the word anxiety? Like I previously stated, a lot of us think of bad memories that we have, of nervousness coming into our minds, and just get an intense moment. But what would you say if I told you that we could use anxiety for the greater good of us? That is, if and only if we allow it to. So I'm going to take you through a couple of scenarios that might help you understand how I've better used my anxiety to help me with performance and motivation levels. So we go back to my junior year of high school. I'm a swimmer, and you guys probably don't know me, so you don't know that about me. But I was out with a knee injury for a lot of the season, so I kind of made a comeback to the conference meet, which was pretty surprising. I had a lot going against me, but also I knew that if I did good in this one race that I would be able to go to sectionals. So I'm sitting behind the block, kind of fear-stricken. I start panicking, my muscles start getting tight. I'm trying to shake them out and get my nerves flowing a little bit. I've probably adjusted my cap and goggles at least 1,000 times. It's like a little nervous tick that I do right before a race. I'm praying to God that the race before me never ends because that means in 30 seconds that I'm going to have to go next. But all good things must come to an end, so of course they touch the wall and it's my turn. Now the announcer tells us that we can approach the block and step into the water. Since I swim the 100 back, that means that we have an entrance from the water and we start in the water. When I jump in, the cold water sends chills up my spine. It's a competitive pool, so the water isn't kind of kept up to everyone's comfort levels. Let's just say it's pretty cold water. And a Speedo isn't going to keep you the warmest. So I have all these things start racing through my mind like, oh my gosh, what if my goggles break? Because that's happened to me several times. And if your goggles break in swimming, it's a bad time. You're stuck blind for the rest of your race. It just doesn't go over too well. I also start to think that maybe I could potentially backflop on my backstroke start, which would be embarrassing and also painful. Then the last thought comes to my head. This is a conference meet. That means there's a lot riding on it. This kind of says that either you will go on swimming or you'll be done for the rest of the season, until next year, obviously. So obviously, since it's a big meet, there's officials aligning every single corner, waiting for them to throw that pink sheet up the second you do something wrong, just to say that she's done. Don't count her time, she was disqualified. There is a lot that can go wrong with a start. You can either start too early, and that potentially leads you to a false start and you're disqualified, or you can move just the slightest, tiniest bit after they say take your mark, and they're watching for that. And that also means that you'll be disqualified. So as this is all going through my head, he says that we can place our feet and then take our mark. This is a pretty tense position when you're a swimmer. You kind of pull yourself up onto the block and sit there, waiting. All of this is running through your head. My heart is starting to pound a mile a minute. My breathing is intense. My nerves are just waiting to push out because my muscles are just wanting to break free. Eventually the gun goes off, signaling us to go. A fury of water starts breaking forth, and I'm moving at a pretty fast speed. I'm surprised because I have this bum knee that's like taped up. I can't even bend it at a 90-degree angle, but somehow I'm moving at these speeds that I never even thought I would be at this meet. I kind of took a second. As I was swimming, I was like, wow, am I really doing this? Is this really what's happening right now? I was really surprised. By the end of the race, I looked at the clock and I was amazed. I actually got a pretty decent time than what I was expecting. Now, it's not the heroic story that you're thinking. I didn't make the cut. I didn't go to sectionals, unfortunately. But I still got a time that I can still be proud of for coming off an injury that I should have had me out the rest of the season. I was just blessed that I could even be in the race at all. So I used my anxiety to better performance levels. It caused me and my muscles to perform better than I could ever expected myself to do. Now, I know not all of you are sports people or as competitive as me, so maybe you can relate to another thing. We all are students, most of us, or have been a student somewhere in our life. We've all dealt with schooling and the stress of it, especially this time right now. It's a very stressful time. We have finals around the corner and papers and presentations coming up, like this one right now that I'm giving you. And we start to get stressed out, and say you have a paper due tomorrow, 7 pages, not too bad, but you've worked on it a long time. And then all of a sudden, you're about ready to finish it. You feel like you're just so ready to get this over with and turn it in, and then your entire screen goes white. I'm not really a tech-savvy person, and neither is my whole family, so you kind of rush your computer around, taking it to your family, holding it, and be like, fix it, help me, what am I supposed to do? And then after all hopes you've given it, you're done. You just have to restart. So you rip your flash drive out, you plug it into your other computer, and it's kind of a fingers crossing moment, like maybe it's going to still be there. Maybe my computer wasn't a false hope and it saved some of it. Unfortunately, though, it only saved 2 of your pages for the paper. It's due tomorrow, and it's already reaching a late night. So with that, you have anger tears starting to well up behind your eyes, and you're starting to freak out, maybe shake a little bit. So you start typing super fast. Ideas are running through your mind and coming out. You're typing faster than you ever thought was possible, and ideas that are flowing. It was better than you even could have possibly imagined it the first time. This anxiety that you have, that paper is due tomorrow and it has to be finished, is pushing you to a new motivation level that you didn't even think was possible. You finished the paper in an hour, and you were actually pretty surprised at the end of it that you got a decent grade on it and didn't completely botch the thing, which has happened to me on some occasions. Now, I know what you're all thinking. How is this possible that we can always use anxiety for our benefits with performance and motivation? It's not always the case. I've had to give this presentation now 3 different times, and each one of them has been a little bit different. And we all get nervous with giving a presentation. Like I said earlier, this stage, although it's pretty small, is a lot bigger than the room that I'm used to. We all get nervous. We start shaking a lot, pulling our hair, ripping on our clothes, pausing with ums, ands, ifs, or buts to fill the void of our process that we're thinking everything through. But I believe that if we allow ourselves to harness our anxiety and use it for our greater good, it can create a better performance level for us and a motivation level for us. But that's only if we allow it to. So through harnessing my anxiety, I have been able to use it for my performance and my motivation for my greater good. Thanks.